Going on out there, Anchorage and everywhere else. I just wanted to come on tonight and do a little show. It's been a while since I've done a long one, so we'll see what happens tonight and see where I end up going and see what rabbit holes we seem to go down tonight. So give me a second here. I'm actually gonna my screen just a little bit bigger. Been a while since I've actually done like a real show where it's just me and just kind of go through and kind of give my thoughts and certain things. So earlier today, I was down at um, a PFD rally, which was pretty cool. I went down there. There was probably about 20, maybe 25 people all together. One of the nicest days in Anchorage that we've had for a while, and it was kind of nice. I got a chance to talk to a bunch of different people and kind of give us kind of an idea of what what we're looking at here in Anchorage and what we kind of need to do, what our next steps are as far as getting the word out and getting people involved and stuff like that. We have a lot of things coming up. We have we have a school board meeting this week on Tuesday, trying to ask for as many people as possible to get out there to do that. The Dina Bishop has put out that she's wanting to recommend mask mandate again for the kids going back to school, which has got a lot of parents up in arms. And I know several parents that are literally willing to pull their kids up. And if we can do that, that's great. I know there's a lot of parents out there right now that are working on doing homeschooling, things like that. So that's one of the things that a lot of people are looking into. But you know what? They're not going to know anything until they hear from us. So right now we have a really heavily liberal school board. And personally, I think that what we need is an independent school system, not something that's run by the politicians and things like that here in Anchorage. We need an independent school system. Now in California, my mother-in-law used to run a thing called the Little Red Schoolhouse, and that was kind of an alternative type school, and it gave parents an option to not put their kids in public schools. Now I think that public schools are a good thing as long as it's not controlled by politicians. Unfortunately, that's what we have right now. Is we have basically politicians that are running the school system. So, and they're still soaking the fear of masks and vaccines and all this other crap. So, I think that if we get on the right track and we get the right kind of funding and we get the right location, places like buildings, big enough buildings that can house, I mean, even if it was only 50 students, I mean, you're making a difference. So, if nothing else, they don't have to be full-fledged schools. They can be resources, teachers and stuff that goes out and basically bucks the system a little bit and, gives the kids the resources that they need, maybe for GEDs, maybe for diplomas, whatever. The thing is, we know that the school system right now are not teaching life skills like they should be. These kids are coming out of school not being prepared to live life on their own. And unfortunately, that's kind of the tradition that we've been seeing over the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years. When I was in school, they taught you life skills. They taught you home ec. They taught you wood shop, auto shop, agriculture. They taught you all kinds of different things that would help put a young person out in the workforce and make them a viable employee. So unfortunately nowadays that's not so much the option. So now they're teaching them how to take tests and things like that. And not only that, but they're also pushing things like the critical race theory and things that really doesn't have any bearing on what a kid should learn in school. A lot of that, the race crap and stuff like that, I think the kid can learn, or a human can learn once they get of the right age. The thing is nobody teaches these people how to be racist. Nobody teaches that kind of stuff. Either you are or you're not. The surroundings around you make you become who you are. So if you're in school all the time and they're teaching this, that, and the other, you're going to automatically get as to what one race or another does or is, or so forth and whatnot. Instead of letting the kids get along with their classmates, things like that, they're pushing an agenda. So With that said, one of the big things that that we lack here in Anchorage, and it's actually across the country. It's not just Anchorage, but across the country. Conservative media has been decimated. I mean, the only real, well, it's not even real anymore, but the only conservative news outlet that's big mainstream used to be Fox News, and that's obviously not the case anymore. Um, so we've all kind of had to depend on our friends and people like that, kind of telling us what stuff on Facebook and stuff on Instagram, stuff on all the social media networks. That's where we're getting a lot of our news, and sometimes it's real, sometimes it's fake, sometimes it's bullshit, sometimes it's not. So what we need to really do is we need to become our own reporters. We need to be our own news. We need to be able to basically, we need to be able to uh, share information and get it to the masses without the bias that we see in the mainstream media right now. And and it doesn't have to be anything sensational. It doesn't have to be national stuff. It just needs to be local stuff. But we need more people doing the same thing that I'm doing right now, and that's going out and talking to people and not being scared of putting yourself out there and just doing what kind of like a civic duty. I mean, you gotta share information as you get it, put your opinion in it a little bit, but a lot of people can't do it, and it's not that they can't do it. It's that they don't know how to do it. They don't have the setups to do it. They don't have the experience playing around with the gear and the different programs and things like that. Now that's the hard part. The easy part and the good part about it is I can teach you. If it's something that you're interested in doing and spreading the word and putting the word out and getting people involved, I can help do that. Like right now, I don't have a lot of people watching, but it is 8 o'clock in Alaska, so it's like 9, 10 o'clock down south. But it's something that I think that everyone should be able to do. It's not hard. I think that if we had 10 people here in Anchorage putting out different things and keeping people appraised, we have so many different Facebook groups. It's unreal. And if we had 2 or 3 different people from each Facebook group putting out some kind of story. Now we do have a few conservative news outlets here in Anchorage. We have Must Read Alaska. Not a huge fan, but it is leaned to the right. We have the Watchman. There is another news paper that's coming out. Let's see. I was going to interview that guy earlier this week, and it didn't end up working. We ended up having a connection issue with Skype, is what I usually use. So we didn't get a chance to connect on that, but hopefully this next week we can. So it's just one of those things where technology sometimes will hinder you, but everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got internet access for the most part. So this isn't actually that hard to do. What I'm doing right now requires a couple cameras, webcams, and a decent speed computer. That's it. It's nothing super hard. If you already got internet, you can do this. All the programs that I use to do a show like this, they're all free. It doesn't cost me anything. I use OBS software, and that allows me to upload videos, allows me to live stream. And then I use a program called Restream, and what that does is it allows me to put out this video to multiple platforms like Facebook, YouTube, the one I'm using. There's several. Periscope is one of them, but there's different platforms that you can stream to, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that. Now, if you use a couple, like if I use 2 different Facebook profiles or 2 different Facebook, like a page and a profile, it costs me a little extra to use to go to both of them. But the good thing about it is it's not much, and it's like monthly. It costs you like maybe $20 a month or something. But it's out there, it's available, and anyone can do it. So anybody can be a radio host or a video blog host or whatever. And the cool thing about the system that I use is you can actually pull video in from Zoom, you can pull video in from Skype, and you can put other people on your podcast or your video cast, whatever you want to call it, video blog, and you can record it for later. If you want to edit it later, you can. The cool thing about this whole system is that, like I said, it doesn't cost nothing. It's all free. OBS is open broadcaster software. It's ran by people like myself and anyone that programs, and they're always updating it and making it better. And it's pretty good. Now I have some extra equipment that I use, but anyone can do it. If you have a microphone, which most computers have a microphone and a webcam, you can do this. It doesn't take that much. I've spent some money on some stuff to make it sound better. I can adjust my volume. I can adjust my tone and my voice. There's all kinds of different things I can do. But basically, I could do it without all that stuff. It's just I prefer to be able to change things. I can up and down the volume on a guest if I want to. And it's actually pretty cool stuff. As you can tell, I have a flag behind me. That's a green screen. With OBS, you can actually do a lot of stuff on green screen, which is pretty damn cool. So, but I think that we need to get more people out there doing stuff like this. I know that today I talked to Paul Kindle, and he was talking about putting stuff on the radio and things like that. The problem with radio is it's only got so far of a reach. And when I say that, I'm not dogging radio, but for one, it costs you money. Two, how often are people in their vehicles listening to the radio on their way to work? You're maybe in your vehicle maybe 10 minutes a day. If you live in Anchorage and work in Anchorage, you're maybe maximum maybe 30 minutes a day. And and that's in the morning. And then if in the evening, there's hardly any talk radio kind of stuff that's really on. So I think that if you're going to hit the masses of town, you're going to have to do some kind of social media. And the more people are on, the more that you'll get seen, and the more your viewership goes up and all that and whatever. I haven't done a lot of podcasts or a lot of video casts here recently. I'm hoping to change that here soon because I really enjoy doing them. It's just a matter of sitting down, figuring out what topics to talk about. And we are actually getting really, really close to rally season again. So we've had kind of the summer off. We got Bronson in there, and really hasn't been any other political stuff that's really been going on. There's been a few things, but nothing really that I would consider newsworthy. So I haven't really been on. But we're coming up on that season again to where there's going to be more rallies, there's going to be more events, and things like that's happening. We're hitting August, so once September hits and everything gets moved forward, then we're going to be going out there pushing, especially to try and get the assembly, get some new spots on the assembly, because the people that are in the assembly, they have to go. We have to at least try and balance it if we can. We got to get Dave Bronson some help. That's 100% for sure. So anyway, anybody that wants to do this, I'm begging people to do this kind of stuff. It's not that hard to do. It's easy to do it. Like if I'm running two monitors on my computer, I have a monitor to my right and a monitor to my left. Monitor to my left is me watching myself on video, making sure I don't have any crap on my face, all that kind of stuff. And then the other one, I can use that screen for articles, things like that, and I can pull articles from one screen into this so people can see it, they can read it, they can do whatever. I can do videos, whatever. OBS is just an awesome platform to use. And I can set it up to where people can what's it called, deaf people can see what I'm saying. It's got the teleprompter, or not teleprompter, but it's got the words that come across your screen so you can read what I'm saying. It works out actually pretty well for the most part. But it's just it's a fun thing to do. It gives you something to do in the evenings if you want to. You can do it from a laptop. You can do it from a desktop. I personally use it for desktop because my desktop is faster than my laptop. But you're available to do it with anything. For minimal effort, you can actually put together a pretty damn good podcast. Now, the one I'm doing is local, and it's through Facebook. It goes out to Facebook, so the people that are seeing me are on Facebook. But for the most part, it's something simple, and it gets the word out. And the cool thing about it is once it's done, it can be shared to different pages, different groups. Usually you come on and you ask everyone, hey, share this video around. right now I have my Facebook profile set to friends only. So there's things that I say and discuss that I really don't want out in the public for certain reasons. I mean, you know, some of the stuff I say I only want friends to see, but you know, I used to have a profile on Facebook that was maxed out, and I had another page that had 10,000 viewers on it. So I mean, I was out there in no man's land. That was when I was still in California. Alaska's a little different. It's a little slower pace of life, so you know, people are not on Facebook as much, and so forth and so on. But with that said, there are a lot of people that do watch Facebook, and they look for different updates and things like that. So I think what we need is we need like 10 people, and those 10 people can come on and do. If we did, even if you did 5 people, and you had 5 nights of different people coming on and giving their opinions and giving their, you know, the facts of what's going on in town, and you could cover what's going on at the assembly, you could cover on what's going on at the school board. One guy can't do this all. And, you know, when you get that many people involved in it, now you got a bunch of different ideas going around, and you can actually build on that and come up with different ideas as far as how to battle them. Not physically, but how to battle when you go to the school board, or how to, you know, how to testify when you go to the school board or the assembly, either one. The passing of ideas is one of the greatest things that we can do as American citizens. If you can pass around ideas and you come up with one good one, you've done your job. If you pass around ideas and nothing happens, you go back to the drawing board and you try it again. The idea is we just can't give up on things. We just can't put our head in the sand, and we cannot just let things go the way that they are. We have to change things. We have to change minds. One of the things that I'm working on with a good team here in town, and we're struggling a little bit to get it up off the ground, but Blexit Alaska is something that we're going to be starting having events here. The first event is actually going to be Tuesday. It's not so much a planned event as the school board takes precedence over everything, and the initiative this month is back to school. So we're going to show up, most of the team is going to show up at the school board on Tuesday and either testify or hand out different things as far as like, you know, what we're about, and, you know, what we're pushing. Blexit, so everybody understands, is a nonprofit. It's a non-political entity, and it's basically an advocate for school choice, the different types of schools, entrepreneurship, and, you know, just good things that has been overlooked by the minority communities. And, you know, we're trying to get out there and get out there and speak to those folks, and let them know that there are options. You know, they don't have to be, you know, go with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, but we want to open their eyes and, you know, be a friend to them, so that if they got any questions, they can reach out and we can help them out. With that said, we're going to be doing some events at Little Dipper Diner this month. That's going to be on the 14th. Then we're going to do a community event at Harley Davidson in Spenard on the 21st. And then we're going to do an event at Kreiner's Diner, probably on the 28th is what it's looking like. And there will be events put on Facebook, things like that, so that people can find it and find the times and all that kind of good stuff. So we want to be able to get as much of the community involved as we possibly can. But I think having somebody come on and do shows like this, and you can put your own background on it, you can make it your own. I think that we have some very talented people on the conservative side of things, and I think that their voices need to be heard. And here's the thing: you see all these different news outlets like ADN and you know, Alaska News Source and all these other publications. They're not doing a whole lot of stuff online. They're basically putting the stuff that they're doing on their news stories on their page, but it's the same stuff. So I think that if we were to go out there and we were to have 5 or 10 people going out and doing things online like this, I think that you're going to get the voice out there a lot better. You're going to get different opinions thrown into it. You'll get different ideas going around, and just different perspectives. The problem with a lot of these news organizations is you have the same reporters going out there spouting the same line of BS, I guess is the best way to put it. So I think having some new and fresh faces both online doing video casts and that kind of stuff, I think the better off you are. Looks like I got 2 or 3 people watching, which is not super terrible, but I was hoping to have a little bit more than that. But anyway, I think that having some different voices doing video casts and things like that, I think is a positive. The thing is that this country needs, honestly, is it needs more balance. We have way too much left. We have way too much right. We need to have something that's more balanced and more factual. You got one side that's creating panic and division, and you got the other side that's responding by using panic and division, and we have to find a middle ground there. And here's the thing. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm probably not going to take the vaccination. And the reason I'm not going to take the vaccination is because I've already had COVID. I got through it just fine. I had a little stumble about 4 or 5 days in where I had a little breathing trouble. Went in, took 8 puffs of albuterol. I came out of it just fine. In fact, when I left the ER, I felt better, way better than when I went in. So they got me all fixed up. I was good to go. I know, at least if I catch it again, I know exactly what I'm looking at. With that said, one thing that I want people to understand is United States citizens, it's their duty to ask questions. Because if we don't ask questions, then we end up following blindly into something that we shouldn't do. And when I say that, I'll give you a couple examples. When they did the Tuskegee experiments years and years and years ago on the black population, and the experiments were for syphilis, and they decimated the black community doing that. That was terrible. And the only reason that stopped was because people started asking questions. Another thing that was terrible was the DDT. They were spraying kids and stuff, the mosquito stuff, things like that. People were getting sick, getting cancer, things like that. The only reason it stopped was because people started asking questions. So it's every American's duty to ask questions. And when I say that, it's not to go against the science. It's not to go against certain things, but it's our duty to stay informed. And if we're not informed and something looks suspect, most of the time it probably is. And there's all kinds of reasons that we should be asking questions. One, is it best for you? I'll give you an example. So the drugs that they gave my wife when she was in the hospital made her sick. One of the drugs that they gave her, we're not sure which one, and the doctors are not sure which one it was either. Gave her hives from basically her pelvic region all the way to her shoulders. And they lasted for quite a while. Nobody knew which drug it was that made that happen. So she's obviously allergic to something. And I fully believe that if they gave her the COVID vaccine, that it may make her sicker than if she deals with it on her own. Now, I'm not telling her what to do. She's going to make her own decision on that. All I know is she survived it the first time. We're a little more prepared for it if it happens again. We won't wait 4 days to get her in there. And the reason we waited that long was because we had made phone calls to the ER, asked them different questions. How soon should we bring her in? And they gave us a guideline on what timeline to bring her into the hospital. So, with that said, we did exactly what they told us to do. And it worked out okay. I mean, there was some scary times, and there was a chance that she was going to end up being put on a ventilator, but it didn't happen. She was strong enough to get through it, and between me talking to the doctor and letting them know, what I expected out of them, they kept her off a ventilator, and she recovered fine. So, everyone's got a choice to make. The thing is make the best choice for you. I'm not telling you I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've taken the flu shot, not recently, but I have taken the flu shot back in high school. But you know what? I haven't caught the flu since I quit taking it. So for me, yes, I did catch COVID. I'll admit it 100%. I caught it. It was worse than the flu, but it still, for me, was survivable. So, and when I caught it, I didn't go out and spread it. I stayed home like I was told. We stayed home for at least 10 days. I had people dropping off food outside. didn't see them in person. They dropped it off, or they left. We did things the right way, and that's what I would expect anyone to do. If you're sick, stay home. Don't interact with anybody else. But it seems to me, looking at numbers and looking at different news outlets and things like that, it seems to me, and actually the ADN actually put out an article today that basically said that, I actually posted the article on my Facebook page, and it had basically stated that even though you're vaccinated, you still carry the same amount of germs in your nose or more than what someone that is not vaccinated carries. And the funny thing is, it seems like the virus is passing easier between vaccinated people rather than vaxxed and unvaxxed people. So, and this is just news stories I'm reading. This is not an opinion. This is things that I'm seeing in the news. And it's not just right-leaning news. It's right and left. CNN put a story out, and Fox actually backed it up. So, there is that. There was a funny TikTok video that I got a kick out of the other day. The Michael Rappaport, which is he's a New Jersey actor, real opinionated guy, best way to put it. Came out a few weeks ago and said he got vaccinated and he was pushing the vaccine on everybody, yada, yada, yada. Then 2 days ago, he made another TikTok and was mad at Fox News and CNN because they were saying that vaccinated people were super spreaders. And he was using the F-bomb and everything else. And I'm not a super spreader and, yada, yada, yada. And he's telling Fauci and everybody in Washington, hey, get it together, figure this out. So, he went down and he's feeling a little foolish now. It appears in this video that he got vaccinated. And now, people that are vaccinated are having to go back to masks. They're having to, they're catching the virus just as easy. Now, when I say they're catching the virus, I don't know how virulent it is. I don't know how deadly it is to the vaccinated people. All I know is it's not protecting them like it was promised. And by saying promised, Joe Biden said earlier this year that, we won't have to go back to masks, or you can remove the masks. Now the vaccinated people, including the military, are having to wear masks again. A lot of people are starting to wake up and they're realizing that this wasn't what they expected it to be. So, it is what it is. One thing that I think is kind of curious. So we got this Delta variant running around in the news. It's in the news, and Fauci's pushing this, that, and the other. Well, here's my experience, and this is from biology. Whenever I was in high school. Now, I'm not saying that things haven't changed a little bit since high school. That was back in 1994. But one thing I know is when we start screwing with Mother Nature gets kind of angry at us. And she does things that we would least expect. So if you think about this, now, supposedly the Delta variant is more transmissible, right? It can be transferred from person to person more so than the original COVID vaccine or COVID virus. With that said, I think that the Delta variant, if it does in fact exist, there's no tests to prove it, according to a bunch of different news articles and different videos I've seen online. The testing facilities don't have a test to test for it. So with that said, I think what's going on is if there is in fact a Delta variant, and it is what they say it is, it's caused by the vaccine. And what I mean by that is anytime you have a virus and say it decimates a population, it doesn't need to get any stronger. But once you put up a wall and you put up a defense against it, now that virus is going to mutate. It's going to change how it attacks its host because it wants to survive. That's what viruses do. They are born to survive. They are born to do everything that they can to multiply, transmit, and so forth and so on. So if people wouldn't have gotten vaccinated from COVID, I mean, we've had this in population for a year now. It's one of the longest running, it's over a year, longest running viruses that has hit man in a very, very long time. I mean, H1N1 didn't hit us as bad as this. SARS didn't hit us as bad as this. The bird flu, nothing like that hit us as bad as this did, supposedly. But we also didn't have vaccines against those right away. We have vaccines against this one, and guess what? boom, mutation. And now we're dealing with the Delta variant. And the ones that seem to be in the hospital more seem to be the vaccinated people, right? They're going in, getting checked out. They're the ones that seem to be catching it, more susceptible to it. So, the writing's on the wall, and I'm just questioning science. I'm not questioning all of science. I'm questioning the science of this. Every time you turn around, Fauci's double speaking, and see what happens. It's kind of funny. So, whenever I do these live videos, I seem to get people that pop up every so often, and in the videos and that are watching and things like that. I just seen somebody that from the school board that just came on to watch. So get a kick out of that. Anyway, I'm not being mean. I'm just saying that we need to question things. That's our responsibility as American citizens, because if we don't question something, then we're not doing our job and we're not doing our due diligence. Like the DDT thing, right? Everyone thought, oh, the DDT, that's going to kill the mosquitoes. That's going to kill all the bugs and stuff that we needed to kill. Well, it ended up causing a lot of cancer. And they were spraying it around neighborhoods. Kids were getting sick. Adults were getting sick. And it took someone asking questions and really pushing the agenda to get the DDT to stop. And guess what happened? As soon as it stopped, people stopped getting sick, or as sick, I should say. And now we're where we're at now. If someone wouldn't have asked questions and they would have just followed blindly, or they said, oh, everything's okay, they'd probably still be spraying that stuff. So it's just something that it's every American's duty to question things and make the decisions that are right for themselves. It's, I'm, like I said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I am a freedom of choice advocate. It should be our choice whether or not we want to inject ourselves with a foreign substance or not. And I mean that. We don't know what's in it. What happens, okay, I know we trust our doctors and everything else, and what happens, and I know this happened in Kodiak, what happens if we get administered something that's not any good? And in Kodiak, they had a bunch of, when the vaccines first came out, Kodiak had to destroy all theirs because it got too warm. It didn't stay in the cooler. They have to keep it a certain temperature or the vaccine's no good. So in Kodiak, when it first came out, they had to destroy, I can't remember how many doses. I think it was like 10,000. It was quite a few. They had to destroy them because they got too warm. So, what happens if somebody leaves a refrigerator open? What happens if a freezer gets left open? Or what happens during transport if the shot comes up here and it's no good, and now you're getting shot with something that's not any good anyway? Is it going to harm you? Is it going to have adverse side effects that they don't expect? I mean, that's what I would be kind of concerned with. Another thing too is not all the doctor's offices here can administer that, but you can go down to Fred Meyer, you can go down to some of these pharmacies and they'll administer it for you. That just seems a little suspect. That tells me a couple things. It tells me that the doctors either don't want it in their building, or the powers that be that run Anchorage don't want those doctors having those shots. So, for whatever reason, I don't know what it would be. Maybe they don't trust the doctors that they may be giving them to. I don't know. But again, it's something we need to question. So, Anthony Fauci is the highest paid federal employee in the United States government. There's a lot of answers that he needs to come up with when it comes to this thing. One, why do they keep changing things? Two, what was his involvement with the Wuhan lab? And I think that, the one senator is asking the right questions. I think he's on the right track. And I think that, eventually, I think Fauci's probably feeling the heat a little bit, and he needs to. He's the one guy that's supposed to be the most trusted immunologist out there. And I'll tell you right now, at least half the country doesn't trust the guy. And that's a scary proposition. And now they've been talking about this for a while. I've seen videos where different citizens and different politicians are calling for forced vaccinations. That's completely against what this country stands for. Nobody should be forced to do anything here. There's a difference between freedom and being forced. And last I knew, this country was still free, or at least has the illusion of being free. And I would hope that that the people in Washington were to wake up and realize that if they were to start going door to door, force vaccinating people, that they're going to have a Cuba situation on their hands. There's going to be people out in the streets. There's going to be officials that are going to be targeted, which I don't advocate for that. But you start screwing with people's livelihoods. You start screwing with people's jobs, and people don't necessarily get mad; they get even. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so back to trying to do shows and stuff like this. So I think it's a good idea to look into doing something like this, because it takes a little practice. It's just a matter of you sitting there talking into a phone, talking to yourself. You're basically talking to someone; they're just not talking back to you. It's not that hard to do, and it's actually kind of fun, and it's actually kind of rewarding, because people start to see you. They start recognizing your voice. They start agreeing with you. Not everyone agrees with you. I mean, I have arguments, on the regular with people, but it's something that I think that everyone needs to at least look at. Everyone's voice matters. Everyone's opinion matters. We may not agree on certain subjects, but there may be certain things that we do agree on. So I think that finding a common ground and getting people to use their voices is a huge benefit for everybody involved. I think that we need more conservative voices out there. You got people like Candace Owens and all kinds of different people in Washington, and they're pushing different things, and they're very smart. They're very well spoken. They're very well thought out on what they say, and I think that everyone should aspire to be something like them. And this is how Candace kind of got her start. She started talking publicly, and now she's got her own show. And I think it's something that once you get recognized and once you get noticed, good things can happen from it. Now there can be some bad things, some repercussions, but I mean, I've been attacked in different community council meetings for no reason, really. Just because somebody doesn't like my views on certain things. It's like water off a duck's back for me. I realize I'm putting myself out there. I realize that I'm saying things that are gonna probably upset some people. You know what? I have more friends on my side of things that agree with what I say than the negative side on a lot of things. So I get satisfaction knowing that I've said I've said my piece, and I've said what I've said, and people can either deal with it or ignore it, whatever. So I've been going here for about 35-40 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here for tonight. But I've been going for 38 minutes. That's the longest one I've done in a while. So I'm going to get off here, but I appreciate those who watching, and I'm going to say good night. Everybody have a good night. Hopefully we see you at the school board meeting on Tuesday, and hopefully we can convince them that the masks are not what needs to happen here in Anchorage, because we got through the school year at the end of last year just fine, and I think that we can get through the school year again and go from there. I mean, we're not going to know until something happens. Unfortunately, you can try and prevent it till you're blue in the face, but Mother Nature has her way. With that said, I'm out. We love you all. Be good. We'll catch you later.